This video is going to cover how to prune star jasmine or Trachelospermum jasminoides. Here you see it used as a vine on a wall. It's also used as a tall ground cover. And either way the pruning is very similar. You're seeing here where I've put down a cloth. I'll get into that in a minute, but essentially this stuff leaks a sap that's very messy, and that's to protect the walkway there. So you can see how jasmine grows. You get these tendrils that grow out, they twirl around, and they basically just stick up. And what I'm going to do here is tidy up the look of the plant here. See these twisting, soft tissued branches. And again, whether this is used as a ground cover or a vine, the pruning's very much the same, and so we'll get into that. By the way, here's a close-up of the sap where I've cut these the branches, and this white sap that looks like Elmer's glue comes out of the branches. It's very hard to get off of things, so you want to be aware of that before you start. I wear gloves and I cover any paved areas with something to screen them from getting the sap on them. So just be aware of that before you start. Here you can see a really good shot of the white sap leaking out of the branches. And that's one of the things that makes this plant deer tolerant to some degree. So the first thing I do is get the general shape established. There's a lot of branches that are just running away here, and what I'm going to do is take a pair of shears and take them back to the base of the base elevation or size of the plant that I want to establish. And the nature of these is once they're mature and you've got them at a general size that you like, then they're occasionally going to send out these runners that twist and run, and you just probably twice a year need to come in and tidy them up. So the first thing is to remove those branches, and you see here this thing's probably 7 feet high, so it's at the edge of what I can reach with my shears. So the next step is to grab my pole pruner and extend my reach to the higher parts of the plant. And a couple of benefits here. I can cut these plants and grab the branch and drop it down onto my clean area. And so it does two things. It keeps the sap off of me, but it also allows me to get up to the higher part of the plant. And you can see how I'm using those as tongs to bring it down to the ground. And also, I'm going to get into it in a minute, but where to prune. So when you're cutting most plants, if you just make a cut at the outer edge where you want the plant to stay, that's a problem. The plant, when you cut it, is going to divide right below where you make the cut and probably push 2 to 4 more branches right below the cut. So if you really want to establish a level on a plant, I've shown this on other pruning videos, but you need to cut below. So here you see me doing that with hand pruners. You see me grabbing the top and then cutting underneath the level of the foliage, probably 6 inches or so on this plant. So that's the next step, is whenever you've got your general level established, you're doing two things. You're making a cut where it actually is going to work for you long term, but you're also hiding the cut. The problem with cutting with shears is if you look here, this is how we want the foliage to look generally, but you'll see 1 or 2 cuts where the white sap is showing, like right there. So what I'm doing is I'm recutting down below so that you won't be able to see where the cut was made, and all of the foliage that's exposed will look finished and natural. And then that way, when we're all done with this, we've pruned it and we've cleaned it up, but none of those cuts are going to be visible, or almost none of them. And then that way, you've got a clean looking plant that you really can't tell got a haircut. And that for me is the ideal way to prune. Is I don't want it to look sheared. I don't want it to look like somebody just came in and did a quick job on it. And also long term, you've got soft, vigorous tips at the edge there, and that's a more natural looking plant than if you have these stubs that start to harden off, and year after year they just get thicker and thicker and look kind of harsh. So that's how I prune star jasmine, Trachelospermum jasminoides. Here's the finished plant. You can tell that looks a lot tidier than the original, and I hope that helps. Enjoy.